everyone. Welcome back for another deep dive.
Today, we're going to get into something that I think a lot of people are really curious about.
We're going to be diving into the world of crystal healing
with this article called The Science Behind Crystal Energy by Amber White.
Okay.
And we're going to be trying to, suss out what's real, what's not.
Right.
What can we back up with a little bit of science and what is maybe a little bit more on the mystical side?
Yeah.
But crystals have like a really long history,
right? They do.
It's not like a new thing. It's not like a fad.
Mm.
It's something that like ancient civilizations were hip to.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of having a resurgence.
It's interesting, right? It's a total resurgence, kind of tapping back into those ancient practices, and really looking at, like energy fields and vibrations and frequencies. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we'll start, because the article dives right into this whole idea that crystals, they emit these like specific vibrations and frequencies.
Okay.
And that those vibrations and frequencies can actually like impact our bodies.
Okay.
It's almost like crystals are speaking a language or something that we're just starting to understand.
Exactly. And like any language, we need to learn the basics. Mm-hmm. Right. So the article breaks down energy, vibration, and frequency. Energy being the ability to create change. Mm-hmm. It's all around us. Vibration is how that energy moves. And then frequency is how fast it vibrates. So think of it like sound waves. Different frequencies create different notes.
Okay.
Right? So the article suggests that crystals, with their unique structure, they actually have a stable and consistent energy frequency.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's where their atomic structure comes in.
Yes.
That's like their superpower.
Right.
They have this super organized structure called a lattice.
Okay.
And that's where like all the atoms are arranged in a repeating pattern.
Exactly. So if you think of like a perfectly turned instrument,
right,
compared to one that's totally out of tune, that organized lattice is like the crystal's tuning fork. It helps it to keep that energy nice and steady, even when other energies are like swirling around.
Okay, so it's maintaining that frequency.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we have these crystals with their steady vibes.
Right.
And then there's us.
Mm-hmm.
But how did that impact us?
Right.
Can crystals really like affect our energy?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's where we sort of separate what we know from what we're still exploring. The article kind of delves into some really interesting areas, especially this idea from quantum physics.
Okay.
That everything, and I mean everything, is fundamentally energy vibrating at different frequencies.
Quantum physics, that's a whole nother deep dive.
Exactly.
But so are we saying that there's like a potential link between the vibrations of crystals and the vibrations that like make up us?
That's the idea some researchers are exploring, and the article does acknowledge that research on crystals directly healing specific ailments is still limited. But it does bring up this really cool thing called the Piezoelectric Effect.
Okay.
Which has been scientifically proven.
Piezoelectric Effect. Okay. You're going to tell me more about that because that sounds important.
It is intriguing. So basically it means that certain crystals, like quartz, which is often used in crystal healing, can generate an electrical charge when pressure is applied.
What?
Yeah. And get this, it works in reverse too. So quartz crystals can actually vibrate when exposed to an electromagnetic field.
Wait, so you're saying that quartz can like convert between mechanical energy, like pressure, and electromagnetic energy? That's like real deal energy that we use in technology all the time.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's like we're already harnessing the power of crystals without even realizing it.
Right.
So it does make you wonder, could that piezoelectric effect in crystals be interacting with our own energy fields? Now, whether it's strong enough to create significant changes in the human body, that's still up for debate. But it adds this really interesting layer to the whole idea of crystals and energy.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Right.
And it makes you think about like all the ways that we use crystals in technology already. Like, in watches, they use quartz to keep accurate time because of those vibrations.
Exactly. It's like we're already harnessing the power of crystals. We just don't even realize it.
Right.
But when we're talking about crystals interacting with our energy, I think it's also important to consider the placebo effect, which the article brings up.
Right. The idea that like just believing that something works can have a real impact on you.
Yeah, and the placebo effect is powerful. It's not just with crystal healing. It's like a factor in all sorts of healing. It really shows like the power of our minds and our beliefs in influencing our well-being.
It's amazing how much we still don't understand about that mind-body connection.
I know.
But I like how the article doesn't shy away from the placebo effect either.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Even if it's the placebo effect, if it leads to positive changes, that's still incredible.
Absolutely. Positive change is positive change.
Exactly.
But let's dive a little deeper into how crystals might be working on an energetic level. The article talks about biofields and chakras, which are central to a lot of healing traditions.
Okay. So for anyone who's not familiar with those terms, what are biofields and chakras?
So imagine this invisible energy field that surrounds your body. That's your biofield. It's like your energetic blueprint. And it kind of influences your well-being. And then within that biofield, we have these energy centers called chakras. And each chakra is associated with different aspects of ourselves, like physically, emotionally, and even spiritually.
Okay. So we have these energy fields, and then the idea is that crystals can actually influence that energy, influence our chakras.
Yeah, and the article suggests that because crystals have those stable vibrations, that can actually help to harmonize or bring balance to any disruptions or imbalances in our own energy fields.
So it goes back to that resonance thing.
Exactly.
It's like if you have a tuning fork and you strike it, and then there's another tuning fork nearby that's tuned to the same frequency, it'll start to vibrate too.
Right.
But we're not made of quartz. So how do crystals resonate with us?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. Our bodies are primarily water, right?
Right.
And water is incredibly receptive to energy and vibrations. Think about how sound travels differently through water. Plus, the article mentions that even our bones have piezoelectric properties, just like quartz.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Our bones have that same, energy generating potential as quartz?
Isn't that wild? It's like we have this incredible capacity to interact with energy that we're only just beginning to understand.
Right.
It really makes you think about the possibilities.
It really does. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this, and they're like, okay, I'm intrigued. I want to try this crystal healing thing out for myself. What advice does the article have for actually using crystals?
So the article has this great section called Crystal Healing 101, and the first step is choosing your crystal. Oh. And it's not as simple as just picking the prettiest one, although that is tempting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be the crystal shop ooh, shiny.
Right. But the key is to actually identify what you want to focus on. So are you looking for more peace? Are you looking for better sleep, more focus?
Okay.
And then you can kind of trust your intuition, like which crystal calls to you. And then, of course, do your research. Learn about the properties of different crystals.
Okay. So you've chosen your crystal. What's next?
Then the article talks about the importance of cleansing rituals. So think of it like clearing out any lingering energy that the crystal may have picked up from other people or places.
Okay.
It mentions different methods like running water, smudging with herbs like sage or Palo Santo, or even just leaving it out under the moonlight.
I love that. That's very connected to nature.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've cleansed it, and then what? Do you just carry it around with you?
Well, the article explains that setting intentions is key. So it's like consciously programming the crystal with your desired outcome. So whether it's peace, creativity, abundance, whatever it is that you're looking to call into your life, that focused intention is believed to amplify the crystal's energy.
So it's like you're putting your energy into it.
Exactly. And programming it with your intentions.
So cool.
Yeah. And the article really stresses that, personal experience plays a big role here. There's not a ton of scientific research yet on crystal healing, but a lot of people find that working with crystals helps them to feel more balanced, more aligned with their intentions, whether it's through the placebo effect or something more.
I think that's great. And I love how the article, it doesn't just leave you hanging. It's like, hey, if you're interested in this, there's a bunch more you can learn. They actually have a whole list of recommended books at the end for people who really want to go down that rabbit hole.
Absolutely. I love that. There's always more to learn. Right?
Always more to learn. Always keep diving deeper.
Exactly. And I think as we kind of wrap up our deep dive today, it's important to remember that even without all the scientific answers, people have been working with crystals for centuries, finding meaning and healing in their own way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's really about being open to these different perspectives and experiences.
Totally. And who knows, maybe as we learn more about energy and consciousness and all of that, we will unlock even more secrets about the power of crystals.
I'm here for it.
Me too.
Me too.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up. Remember that really thought-provoking question from the beginning of this episode?
Oh.
The article was talking about individual crystals. But what if we, zoomed out, way out? What if the Earth itself is like this giant crystal emitting its own powerful frequencies?
No, that is a fascinating thought.
Right.
We're surrounded by all this energy and vibrations that we can't even see. It makes you wonder what else is out there.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not always about finding all the answers. It's about sparking that curiosity.
Right.
And just being open to what if?
What if? Exactly.
And to everyone listening.
Yes.
Keep exploring.
Yes.
Keep asking those questions. Keep that curiosity alive.
And maybe pick up a crystal or two along the way.
Yes.
You never know what you might discover.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into crystal healing. Until next time, keep seeking and keep shining.
Bye, everyone.